Visage is known for his weak laning phase, but in this game we're going to see how Faith Beyond is going to play offlane Visage and how he's actually going to win his lane.
My holiness deepens.
Welcome to the Church of Obelisk. So they're hidden here, they've used the vision they have with this ward, and now they're going to engage here right away. You see Soul Assumption being used here on this Keep of the Light, has 3 charges again, coolness up here, and that's the first kill, it's first blood. And it just shows you the power of this spell. This does so much damage. This does 20 base damage and 75 per charge. You have 3 charges maximum at level 1, so that's 245 damage if you have 3 charges. That is a lot of damage on a 4-second cooldown, but unfortunately it's also very expensive in terms of mana. So you see he's actually started with 2 mangoes, already eaten 1 of those mangoes. He's also actually unfortunately eaten his second Fairy Fire, which was a mistake, which is a misclick I guess, just fat freeing him when he's trying to eat the mango I guess. But even though he's used all this regen, he has got the first blood, so he's doing really well right now. And just a combination with this Soul Assumption and the Doom with his Scorched Earth just does so much damage at the start. So that's why they were able to get this first blood, and they're going here again. And they have another extra mangoes. He brought out extra mangoes to be able to do this. But he only has 1 charge right now, so he can't actually unload here on this Razor. Unfortunately, they weren't able to get a kill here, but at least they took a lot of damage onto this Razor, and this Razor is now really low, and low HP Razor without regen can't really do very much, which is why he brought out a Salve for himself. They want to go again on this Razor. They use Infernal Blade and the Scorched Earth, and just run him down. 3 charges, he fires off, and another hit here. They try to go for this, but they don't quite get him, and he used the Salve to heal himself back up. But that was very close. They almost got a kill there. Now Razor is going on Doom here, and they can turn around here. He has 2 charges now, 3 charges, and fire. There's another mango available here. So Doom goes down, but they do get the Razor, so that's a pretty good trade. And this is how we're going to play these lanes as Visage. In these last hit battles, you're not that good, but you're good at just going in and killing people. Problem is it uses up a lot of resources. So it's already eaten up, I think, 4 mangoes in this laning phase, and mangoes, of course, were also nerfed in 724. So this kind of sort of playstyle is very strong, but it's very resource intensive. They go again here on Razor, and they have 3 charges, now actually 4 charges, because they leveled up Soul Assumption. In this kind of lane it makes sense to get at least 2nd level in Soul Assumption, but that's really where you want to stick for now, because you don't want to put too many points into the Soul Assumption, because it's an ability that scales really poorly. In 724 they removed this aspect of the mana cost decreasing with increasing levels. Now it's just 150 across all levels, so that removed most of the incentive to actually level the spell up, and all that actually gives you is extra max charges. So this is one of the worst scaling spells in the game, so it makes sense to just leave it at level 2. He tries to go for this courier, which is kind of vulnerable here, but you can see the Spelliner coming out. Visage misses the 2nd attack on the courier. The Doom gets it instead, but Visage himself is also unfortunately going to die. He tries to turn around here. He could have maybe used the Fairy Fire and gotten that kill here, but he decides to just not use that. And Razor is now also quite low, so he has to be actually careful against this Doom. Doom turns around here, gets another hit in here, another hit, and 1 hit will do it, and that is a dead Razor. And Doom can just walk it off here. Visage has gone for 1 Null Talisman. I've seen some Visages do this in side lanes. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of that. I feel like it would be more useful to get something like Bassi, because like Null Talisman, the spell is like nice-ish for the Soul Assumption, but I feel like it's not really worth the item cost. I feel like a Bassi would be more, you would get more Soul Assumption damage out of that in the long run, and Null Talisman is just an item that is just not really useful in making, because this is a hero where you're not trying to build up stats. It's really all about the Soul Assumptions and your birds later on in the mid game. So I feel like an item like this is not efficient enough to buy it. I would therefore just go for the Passy, which will also help with the Doom with this mana problems, or just rush straight for the Dominator, because Dominator is an item that's just so strong if you get it early. Visage is level 6 now, so he's immediately summon birds and go after this Razor. They just run down, drop the birds, drop the second bird, and that's an easy kill. Very nicely done there, and good coordination together with that Doom, and of course saving the birds by flying them here into fog. And now we can go for this tower. If you're laning as a Razor and things are not going as well as they are going right here, you do want to buy boots early on because you want to be able to run away from the static link. But since he's doing so well, he doesn't need to run away, so it's good to just skip the boots and get that earlier Dominator. Tanking tower shots here a little bit for that catapult. They already used the cliff, so there's an easy tower kill, and Faith Beyond takes the gold. There's a bunch of action going on down here, and Doom is going to teleport down here and help out, but as Visage you don't want to join there. You still have to farm your Dominator, and TPing is just not as strong on Visage because your birds don't come with you. So you just want to stay here, you want to soak up this experience in this farm, and just push in this wave, especially since you still have the catapult wave here. So the enemy actually has to respect this. You don't want to go too far though, because you're not very mobile, especially without boots. So you don't want to be caught out here. You just push in this wave, and then you farm these very safe jungle camps. So he's taken over the Starcrow Summoner with his Dominator. It's not the best creep, but it's okay. It's gonna help you to force fights with your ensnare. It sets up nicely for your bird stuns and allows you to catch up. But ideally you would want a Centaur here. He's pushing in this tower here, of course using the raised dead skeletons. The skeletons do quite a bit of DPS. And the fight going on here, we save his Enchantress. And they're trying to go on these Klings, but not really enough damage here. Enchantress going a bit too far forward, and you might die to this. No, she has sticks. Okay, that's fine. So a bunch of interstellar fighting here, but in all this time this catapult is hitting this tower, and they really want to take this tier 1 tower because that's of course the most important tower in the game. Really opens up the map, it really helps to control Roshan, so this is an important kill. After Dominant, of course, you get yourself some boots, not very surprising, and he also picks up a Centaur here, much better creep of course. And now the next item he's going to go for is a Pipe of Insight. Pipe is an excellent item on Visage, really helps keep your birds alive. It's just so much easier to keep this alive, and you can block out all this AoE damage coming out of Razor, coming out of this Ember Spirit. Just makes your birds almost invulnerable when you have this Pipe active up. And it's just generally, Pipe is generally a strong item, and since you're position 3 here, it's kind of your job to buy this Pipe. You find this Keeper of the Lights, some nice chain stunning going on here, and there's another kill on Faith Beyond's behalf, and they're now going to try to pressure up at this top lane a little bit here, because they got this kill, and maybe they can get this tower, or at least put some good damage onto it. Fortification comes out, so they have to retreat here. Still pushing this tower, and now it's going after the Skywrath. This is not the kind of play you want to make as Visage, honestly. He also resummons his birds for this kill. He's trying to get them out now, because losing these birds will be really bad here. Going for these kind of deep dives as Visage is very risky. It's just sort of a high risk, low reward kind of play, and Ember Spirit gets one of these birds, and there's still a long cooldown on these, so it's really important not to lose these familiars, but it's going to lose both of them. So that is really, really bad. Like, this play sets him behind by so much. Finally the birds are back, and he finds a Clumsy Net, which is a really strong item on Visage. Really helps out with the mana problems, and just the active is quite nice because you don't really need to be very close to the enemy, and it's fine to be ensnared yourself because you can still reach people with your Soul Assumption, and most of the damage is going to come out of your birds and Soul Assumptions anyway. Birds have very little vision, but they can still be used to provide high ground vision here because they're flying vision. So this allows the Enchantress to deward these wards. And now they're going to try to pressure this tower with a catapult wave. But Razor is here to defend. He has his drums available. See Cotton using his ultimates. And they do get the kill on the Enchantress. So it's no longer really a very good fight. You see him staying around here to protect his birds. As long as you have these 4 points in Gravekeeper's Cloak up, these birds are just not dying. They are virtually unkillable if you have those 4 stacks up. Right now the Radiant have a slight advantage, so they are posturing here, they're trying to catch someone out, and you see this Razor farming down here. They go and slow him, birds fly in, misses the first stun here, but the second stun lands, and that's good enough to get the kill. Sticking around here to protect his birds, and that's a clean kill. Of course the Cloak doesn't do anything against non-hero damage. So it doesn't reduce tower damage, but it would reduce damage if there's like something like a Skywrath here to nuke this bird or something like that. A wild Cottle appears, tries to do some dewarding, but that's not allowed. And they just kill him for his insolence. I really don't know what he's thinking here. He even uses his ultimate to... I don't know what he thought his ultimate was going to do. He's always going to die there. Faith Beyond was kind of unsure what he wanted to buy here. First he queued up a Solar Crest, then he queued up an AC, and now he's queuing up the Guardian Greaves, and he's already bought the Mech. This is an excellent item here, and again we see him here protecting his birds by staying nearby as he retreats with them. And he is going to get his birds out. If he just runs away with this Visage, at least one of these birds is going to die. Now sending them in again and almost loses a bird here. But as I was saying, he's now going for the Guardian Greaves, and it's actually a really good item on Visage, kind of underrated item. Because it's just great in general. It's a good utility item, especially with playing with Prison 3 here. You don't really have to scale as much, and it's perfectly fine just to buy this item for your team. And in this game, it's even has a lot of uses in terms of its dispel ability, because you can dispel the silence from Skywrath Mage, you can dispel the root from Ember Spirits, you can dispel the mischance from Cottle. A lot of stuff you can dispel here, so this is actually quite a useful item, and just having this extra sustain for your team is quite valuable. Let's finish this Guardian Greaves right now, and there's a major fight going on down here. Going these Clinks, and they get the Clinks kill. More fighting going on here, and our Visage is now actually resummon his birds just to be able to get them in the fight quicker, which is kind of a risky move, but sometimes you want to do that. And they're really feeling this fight right now, partially of course thanks to those birds, and of course also all the auras that Visage is providing. So it's a major win in this fight, and now they can go and take this tower in the mid lane. So tower goes down, and they still have a couple of people dead. Skywrath Mage kind of makes a foolish play, tries to get a kill here, but just gets himself killed. They used fortification, so to back up a little bit here, but they fortify themselves to protect the siege creep, because they want to keep this push alive. Now that they have these 2 people who are still dead for a long time. Cottle also showing himself here, gets killed thanks to Storm Spirits, and now they're taking tier 3 tower, and now it's the melee Rex because still 3 people dead. There's no way that the DotA can defend this, so you just go and go for these buildings, and now it's time to back off a little bit, whereas instead they're just going to try to take a fight here with the numbers advantage. They go on this Razor. Razor goes into BKB, but of course it's not going to protect him from the physical damage from the birds, but he's still quite fast, so he run away. Ignis Fatuus not really doing very much here, only delaying the inevitable, and there are 3 people dead. And as Visage, in these kinds of fights, if you have this pipe up, you don't really have to worry very much about losing your stacks or losing your birds. You can just right click people and fire off your soul assumptions. It's really in those kind of fights where there's a lot more AoE damage flying around, and they have a lot of physical AoE damage which you can't protect as easily against, that you have to be a lot more careful with the positioning. But in a game like this, especially considering how far they're ahead, it's very easy to just bulldoze your way to victory. So this game is going to end very soon here. Still a couple of minutes in this video left, but honestly it's just a long death animation and like slight throwing going on here. They're just not really focusing the Raxus as well as they should. But for our purposes, this is going to be it. I have some other Visage replays on this channel, considering mid-Visage and safe lane Visage. So go check those out and subscribe to this channel, ring the bell, and all is willing, I'll see you next time.